Imagine an urban spread of countless buildings, their ages and styles suggesting not just a physical, but a temporal sprawl. Clawing at the sky are spiky arches, stone and twisting metal and glass dirty with soot. Down below, brick buildings and sprawling manor houses stand behind fences of iron latticework, while ancient ruins cast an undeniable promise on the desperate inhabitants of squalid ghettos and seedy slums. Secrets are bought and sold for fortunes or a pittance, and with them the fates of rich and poor, powerful and weak alike are altered, even reversed. Return above, notice also the thousand chimneys of varying sizes. They spew smoke without pause. It is not just the consequence of burning wood no, it is the byproduct of industrial and alchemical industry, the backbone of the cities of Ilmar and Gerdon, respectively. Ilmar, the setting of Adrian Tchaikovsky's City of Last Chances, is a city of demon-powered industry under the auspices of a totalitarian empire obsessed with purity. Gerdon, meanwhile, is an alchemical island of relative sanity during a conflict that has driven the very gods mad in Gareth Hanrahan's Dark Iron Legacy series. I find I have a soft spot for such fantastic cityscapes as these. They just hit different. They are well able to portray the confusion, the complexity, the sheer multitude of voices and interests that animate any city sprawl. There is a tradition here that authors draw from when they render such cityscapes in their works. The cities and the connections that entwine the characters within them are positively Dickensian. Contrivances of every sort connect characters from vastly different social status. A rivalry between an influential academic and a refugee wizard forced to play the role of a fence in Tchaikovsky's City, for example, drives social forces inside Ilmar towards a breaking point, in ways that neither character could have imagined. Likewise, when Gareth Hanrahan puts together a disinherited noble turned thief with a ghoul and a stoneman of Gerdon, they each come with nodes of unique connections between them that jumpstart a transformation to the face of this alchemical powerhouse of a city. These cityscapes have a lot more in common. Both are places in tension with themselves, as Hanrahan writes about Gerdon. Ilmar is a powerhouse of industry. This is a big part of why the Palicene invaders were so desperate to extend their rule to the city-state. Ilmar is also the site of a most unusual mystery. The anchorage and the copse of woods that rests just outside it. This handful of trees conceal a pathway, a shortcut to far away and unknown lands. The Pals see opportunity here to extend their conquest and to benefit from its incredible capacity for simplifying trade. True, no one has yet domesticated the woods, or the strange masked indwellers who play the role of guides within it. But the Palicene are ambitious. Theirs is the conqueror's certainty, looking to the failures of the conquered as a deficiency in the Ilmari, rather than something to draw lessons from. They see only the potential, not the danger that the wood represents. Admittedly, the potential is great. Imagine trade caravans reaching for a few days lands that it would take them months and supreme effort to reach otherwise. What the Pals imagine must be very like the trade that Hanrahan's Gerdon has accomplished for itself. I quote, "If the map were accurate, it would show Gerdon in brilliant silver, with silver trade routes spiraling out to all four corners and off the map to the archipelago, carrying wonders of the alchemical renaissance. The difference is, Gerdon is what Ilmar used to be, a proud independent nation-state, an exporter to outside nations. Trade is survival to Gerdon. The unique alchemical products that they offer to the great powers of the archipelago are not only the city's chief source of income, they are also a guarantor for peace. The Palatine are instead a far-reaching empire, the very kind that Gerdon in another story world seeks to protect itself from through the trade of unique goods. All the Palatine's trade would seek to uphold the cohesion of their empire or to seduce other nations into joining through negotiation rather than conquest. To empire, trade is simply another avenue for occupation. I know what some be thinking. What? Trade doesn't have anything to do with Gothic? Wrong. Where do you think the impeccable vibes of the Gothic genre come from? Those fancy manor houses are built on riches from industry and colonial exploitation, and those in turn are accumulated on profiting of empire and imperialism, whether directly as the Palatine do or indirectly, as is the case with Gerdon. Both cities, likewise, are haunted by ancient, bloody history. In neither case is this history truly put to bed. Rather, like in the best Gothic literature, the sins of the past haunt the present and have fatal consequences for the future. Gerdon's black iron gods, I quote, so named because these deities were incarnated, infrared perhaps, as statues made of metal, end quotes, are an obscene and tyrannical shadow from the past, terrifying enough to be largely forgotten. They were able to feast on the souls of those sacrificed to them and grow more powerful, carrion gods, so hungry they could not abide the slightest gap between mouth and meat, wallowing in murder, writes Hanrahan in the Gutter prayer. Ilmar has its old quarter, where the old ducal line's obscene will hangs like a miasma, driving mad most everyone who makes the mistake of stepping foot within the reproach. I quote, the decay seemed accelerated beyond reason, even for how long this district had crumbled here, abandoned, or not abandoned. People lived in the reproach, although not exactly people, or perhaps not exactly lived, writes Tchaikovsky on page 112 of The City of Lost Chances. The Vratsin Duke, Ilmar's old master, makes for a terrifying spectre, and his refusal to let go of this quarter of the city has a powerful symbolic charge about the way that the past defines the present. Ilmar and Gerdon have another trait in common. They both house significant universities, centers of learning filled with university students eager to change the world for the better, though their efforts are often stymied by institutional forces within and beyond the university itself. The knowledge these universities offer is not absolute, and it is not without an agenda. Ilmar's maestros have come to an agreement with the Palatine, teaching material that's just on the border of what the totalitarian regime is willing to tolerate, in return for access to the university's accumulated knowledge. Gerdon's university is a front for some nefarious activities. Its institutional memory is not beyond reproach, and their financing makes them accountable to noble patrons and government alike. Of course, industry is buried in the bowels of these Gothic cities. In Ilmar, it is powered by demons, the denizens of an infernal dimension. They are trapped and, for all intents and purposes, trafficked by their own feudal lords into performing work that no human being is capable of performing. The horror of such imprisonment, of tireless work forced on by cruel contracts. Well, if it's not ringing alarm bells of recognition, you haven't been paying attention. In the shadow of industry live the poorest and most precarious, all of them breathing in the smoke from a million burning hearts that hangs overhead like a ruddy pole, writes Hanrahan. Desperate refugees of distant wars, criminals striving to survive, the vulnerable and powerless, all of them carry the brunt of the engine of economic growth that is industry. Dying due to the poisonous byproducts of this industry, or even being used as reagents for the alchemical inventions that Guerdon's independence relies on. I love fantasy of every shape and size, yet there is something about these Gothic fantasy cities, about the kind of stories that can be told within such settings. The intrigue, the decrepit grandeur, the brushes with the past and the icons of bloody progress aiming to prop up a disquieting present. Can't get enough of those. This is why I would heartily recommend that if anything I've spoken about sounds good to you, you should absolutely check out Adrian Tchaikovsky's The City of Last Chances, a phenomenal first novel in an interconnected but not dependent series of novels under the name The Tyrant Philosophers. There are 3 of them published, with a 4th and last one in the quartet coming out, I think, either in autumn 2025 or in early winter 2025. Likewise, Gareth Hanrahan's Black Iron Legacy series, which currently has 3 books of, I think, 7 planned, is an absolute phenomenon of a series. I love it to bits, and Guerdon is one of my favorite cityscapes in the whole world. You should check both of these authors, not just in those particular books and series, but also in their wider opuses. Gareth Hanrahan is a writer of TTRPGs. I have played quite a few of his adventures now, or read some of his materials anyway, and I'm beyond charmed. Adrian Tchaikovsky is a phenomenal novelist of sci-fi as well as fantasy. I will be talking about some of his sci-fi. I've written some academic work on Tchaikovsky's novels before. If you're interested in it, you can email me about that. And by all means, enjoy these books. Find for yourselves these cities, because they are well and truly splendid. I'm Philip Magnus. This is possibly the Tower of Books YouTube channel. I think maybe that's the name I'm picking. If not, whoops. And I will see you next time. I do sci-fi reviews on Mondays, I do fantasy reviews on Wednesdays, and I do miscellaneous videos, essays, reviews of comic books, classic literature, literary fiction on Fridays. Maybe I do even more than that, or maybe I will. Who knows? Not me. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, send it to your grandma. And yeah, let me know what you think about Gothic fantasy cities, about the Gothic genre as a larger social phenomena. And I will be happy to not only read your comments, I will respond to them, and I will do my best to do so in a thoughtful manner, which I hope this YouTube channel is all about, approaching books in a thoughtful and enjoyable way without undue sensationalism. I'm Philip Magnus, and I will see you again next time. Bye!